Everybody, and welcome to INVO Underwriting's webinar today with Hiscox. We have Jonathan here, and he's going to basically go over everything with quoting and their appetite and all that good stuff. But before I release it to him, I'm going to show you how to actually get to them in our portal. So I'm actually on our homepage right now, which is invounderwriting.com. You'll click Agent Portal. Again, that's going to prompt you to log in. Once you're logged in, you're going to be on the products page. And if you scroll down, you'll see them right here. The great thing about them is you do not have to get registered. You're immediately able to quote as soon as you're logged into our portal. So pretty quick and easy system for them. So let me release it to Jonathan and he can go over all the good stuff. All right. There you go, Jonathan.
Thank you. It's loading right now to give me the option to share my screen. But while that's coming up, I'll say thanks for taking the time out of your day to spend it with me so I can show you all the lovely things we have at Hiscox and hopefully familiarize you a little bit more with how to navigate our system. If you have any questions, we'll be saving those for the end of the session as well too. And then I also do have my underwriter, Kashiri Smith, here with us as well too. So if there are some pointed questions as far as how to navigate our system or underwriting guidelines, she'll be able to assist with those as well too. So with that, can you see my screen right now as well too? I'll take the silence.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I wanted to take the first 15, 20 minutes, like I said, I had a few slides just to kind of talk through appetite for Hiscox and then high level overview of the products that we offer. I'm sure that everyone's pretty familiar with ins and outs of the small business policies as well. And then after that, we'll do a quick demo and walk through of the quote and bind system that gave me a little too as well. So this is probably one of the screens I'll spend a little bit of time on just because I think it's a little important just to understand Hiscox now, what the benefits of it are, and then our appetite at the same time as well. So first thing to be aware of, we do have a very broad appetite. As of now, we have over 480 professions that we do write, and that is growing every single day as well. I think actually for that matter, earlier this month, we had about 20 new small contractor in the cyber space that we opened up as well too. So very much often increasing our appetite. We also had, as an example, some communications may have been sent out, increase in payroll revenues for janitorial and for small contractors as well. So when we do see that there are certain spaces where our partners and agents are placing a lot of business, we'll take that voice of agent, voice of customer, and try to make positive impacts on those. So we do that. So if you do see a lot of things like that where you are winning a lot with Hiscox, please let us know because we do take that information to heart and try to act on it at the same time. Oops. One other thing here as well too, we do have a rules-based or portfolio underwriting. What that means, you'll see once I get into the quote system, depending on how you answer certain questions in there, it may ask you some follow-up questions to meet underwriting guidelines. So it's a very intuitive system. It's really nice because it's very difficult to break. It's very streamlined, where if you have a basic risk, it's going to ask you basic questions in that sense as well. So you're not going to be spending a lot of time wasting with questions that aren't relevant. Once you're comfortable with our system, you can get in there and go from quote to issuing the policy and having documents in the insured's hands in less than 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. So once you get comfortable in there, it's a very, very intuitive and fluid system. One of the other many benefits that we have is new ventures are welcome. So the joke I have to make too often is if I decided that I want to quit my job here at Hiscox and become a dance therapist, Hiscox would insure me if I was to do that as early as tomorrow, or early as today for that matter as well. So new ventures are welcomed, even if there's no prior experience, no prior insurance. That's not a concern for Hiscox at the same time. Next, we do have competitive premiums here as well. Tailored policies, they start as low as $22.50 per month, depending on the coverages, the limits that you want in there. So very, very affordable. And we also do have a fast and simple online appointment. Avery mentioned at the top as well, you do automatically have access to Hiscox. So I'll walk through what that looks like once you get onto the our homepage portal that we share. I'll show you how to create your account there, and then afterwards how to get quote and binding. And I mentioned this earlier as well. New ventures welcome, but another benefit as well with that is same day policies are okay with us as well. Once you do go through the quote and return the rate, if the insured is happy with that, you can then go ahead, issue that policy, and then the documents will be sent to you as the agent and to the insured immediately after the payment has been taken. One other benefit, we do have a direct bill. So the billing is, the insured is responsible for making payments to maintain their policy. And that is debit card or credit card only, and then the policy renews automatically year after year as long as it maintains eligibility guidelines. We'll use that same payment information saved on file, and then the customer will be able to just very turnkey, seamless policy. We don't need to do any manual reviews or anything like that, like you may be used to with some other carriers. It's very, very fluid, turnkey process, so it makes renewals very, very sticky as well. We, as a company on this digital side, we maintain, I believe last I checked, it was about 92% of policies renew year over year. So a very strong retention rate that we have with our policies due to the turnkey fluidness of the policies. We do have broad hours as well too. We have our service center. They are available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. And I think this is the first week implemented. We also do have Saturday and Sunday, we have hours available as well too, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. So 7-day-a-week availability, which is great. If you do have some insurers that are reaching out to you on the weekend with high needs, we do have a team in place during core hours to support for that. And a lot of things I mentioned as well too. We do have, it's very short-term effort and then very low lift due to the fluidness of the quote and bind process being very simple, due to the automatic renewals, due to the direct billing, needing new ventures being okay. It's very, very short term. Like I said, you can have that policy written and quoted and issued in quickly as 5 minutes. And after that, it's pretty hands off. We'll maintain the service of the policy on a go forward basis after that. And then finally, all these policies, Hiscox is an A-rated insurance company by the AM Best. All of the policies that we have on the Hiscox Now digital face, they're all admitted policies at the same time. So very core, solid policies that we have here. So I'm not going to spend as much time on all these other ones as I did on that first slide, because I'm pretty sure that everyone here is pretty familiar with these, but quick overview for each of these. I'll start with errors and omissions, E&O, or professional liability policies. So these cover for errors and omission that occur or are alleged to have occurred in the course of providing professional services. So we do have up to $2 million aggregate limit available online through our quoting system that you're able to do online. We do offer up to $5 million on request. If you do want higher than those limits, you would need to call into the service center, and then they'll be able to understand the risk. We may ask for some additional documentation, and then they'll be able to confirm there on the spot if we're able to accept that risk and issue that policy on your behalf as well. We do have various deductibles ranging from $0 to $10,000 for all our E&O policies. And then one thing you'll see that's very consistent on the right hand of all these pages, I mentioned on the first slide, automatic renewals. These are all written on admitted paper. It's available as a monoline product. Of course, we do encourage to bundle these up. There is a discount associated with that as well. And we do also have automatic, blanket, additional insured included as an option as well. You'll see here that we do have availability for E&O in all states with the exception of Washington. So a very broad footprint, which you're going to see from most of the policies that we do offer here at Hiscox now for our small business program at the same time. All right. So moving on from E&O, if this wants to turn slides, there we go, is our not only monoline, but our general liability, GL policies. So these are covered, this provides coverage for claims of bodily injury, associated medical costs, and damage to property on or off premises. Covers for liability of property damage or bodily injury to third parties, and it covers employees or temporary staff. Just like the PL, this does provide up to $2 million worth of coverage online. And same way, if you want higher limits, up to $5 million, if you reach out to our service center during those hours, we do offer those as well too. This is both for the GL and the PL. The defense costs that come, those are outside of the policy limits. And as I'm sure most people know here as well, deductible is included for GL across the board. Due to COVID, when a lot of people were working from home, we did implement a work from home discount that is subject to the minimum premium of $350. And then there is a higher minimum premium for some professions, industries, including retail, landscape, janitorial, and artisan contractors. And just like you saw on the E&O, all of these have automatic renewals as long as they continue to meet underwriting guidelines, written on admitted paper, available as a monoline product and as a bundle, startup friendly, so same day coverage start is okay. And then we also do have AI automatic blanket coverage included as an option as well too. And once again, available in all states here with the exception of Alaska. There are some other optional add-ons that we can add to the GL. BPP is a common one that we'll typically see requested, business property and equipment coverage. This covers loss or damage to computers or equipment or computer equipment or content, and that coverage is available up to $25,000 in $5,000 increments. And then they also do have an off-premise sub limit of $2,500 for all professions, and then mobile food has ranges of $5,000 to $25,000. That's in $5,000 increments. The coverage for BPP that starts at $135 for $5,000 worth of coverage, and is subject to a $500 deductible. And I'll show you this once we do get into the quoting process as well. Once you get through the quote and see that it is eligible and a rate is returned, at that point, that's when you're able to select the BPP as an additional add-on coverage, or some of the ones I'll go on to the next slide, the PNC, HNOA, and the waiver of subrogation. So to steal my thunder, these are the other additional add-ons that we have available for GL. Primary and non-contributory, also known as PNC. This refers to coverage extended to an additional insured, so long as you have agreed in writing contract or agreement. Makes the insured policy primary and not seeking contribution from other available insurance. It's offered as a blanket on blanket basis, and like you've seen as a common theme, it's available in all states with the exception of Alaska. The HNOA, the hired non-owned auto endorsement. This coverage applies to the actions of your employees, whether they're full-time or temporary staff, when driving a non-owned or rented vehicle for business purposes. This coverage is available for all classes with the exception of artisan contractors, landscape, janitorial, retail, mobile food services. The coverage, it cannot exceed the GL occurrence limit, but those range from $300,000 to $2 million in limits. And then claims here, they are paid as part of the aggregate limit. So these are not in addition to. In the states that these are not available in are Alaska, Illinois, Louisiana, Vermont, and Washington. And then finally, the other common add-on that you'll see here is the waiver of subrogation. This is agreement between two parties in which one party agrees to waive subrogation rights against another in the event of a loss. So as long as it's done in writing. And common theme, this is all done in all states with the exception of Alaska once again. So we do have some other GL coverages for skilled services. Janitorial, this is a coverage that is pretty popular for us. Looking at this, this is actually out of date. I mentioned that I think on the first or second slide. We did just recently increase this. Payroll for janitorial is now up to $1 million rather than $500,000. And there is a $3 million limit for retail and a $2 million limit for limit of liability for that coverage as well too. This is a non-exhaustive list as far as some of the janitorial and landscaping and retail services. It's more so just to kind of give an illustration of what we do have available as different types of services that each of these respective professions would offer. Another common skilled service that we have is for artists and contractors. There's a $1.5 million revenue and payroll limit for these. There is an exception in the state of New York. Coverage is excluded there, and we do have a limit of liability of $2 million for artists and contractors here as well too. So a little bit on GL. So like I said, that's pretty robust policy that we have there as well. So a lot of the questions that you might have, a lot of the industry's professions, I'll show once we're done with these slides where to reference our appetite guide. If you are curious outside, whether it's inside or outside these skilled services, I'll show you where that lives on our portal homepage, and you can see in real time what's in appetite, what's out of appetite, what lines of business we write those in. So I'll show you that probably in five minutes after we're done with these slides. The next line of business that's pretty popular for us is BOP, business owners policies. So this is coverage for claims of bodily injury, associated medical costs, and damaged property. The GL Plus coverage is part of this as well too. So that is an option to do GL Plus instead of the BOP. This covers up to $2 million per occurrence. Once again, if you want higher limits than that, we do offer up to $5 million online. One thing to be aware of, this does provide coverage for building contents up to $250,000. Structure itself is not covered underneath the BOP, so that is just one thing to be aware of. It does also provide loss of electrical data coverage up to $10,000, along with interruption of computer operations up to $10,000 at the same time. Loss of business income is covered up to 6 months. There is the option, I believe, for up to 12 months as well too. And then coverage here starts at $495. It does also provide similar add-ons as I mentioned, the PNC, HNOA, crime, terrorism, that's a coverage there as well too. The one thing that is different with BOP compared to the others is just the footprint. There are a few other states that we do not write BOP in: Washington, Kansas, West Virginia, Rhode Island, Florida, and now I'm putting myself on the spot here. I will pull up, when I pull up in the appetite guide, I'll show you where all these maps live, and I'll show you exactly where it says where the states are if you're unfamiliar with some of those Midwest states like that, off the top of your head. So along those lines as well too, yeah, here we go. Alaska, Rhode Island, West Virginia was the one I was blanking on, sorry about that. So yeah, so anyone who's a BOP good for? Anyone who needs GL, general liability insurance coverage, anyone who has business equipment such as computers, printers, and furniture, if you own or rent your office building, and if you have full-time employees and or temporary staff, those are type of professions where you'll want to have them consider a BOP and make sure they're aware that this is a coverage that's available to them. The final product that we offer underneath Hiscox now as well is cyber. This unfortunately does seem to be one of the largest or fastest growing professions out there. I know for me personally, a day doesn't go by where I'm not getting a text offering me $500 or $2,000 a day for new work, or getting a text saying that I have overdue toll bills in certain states. So this is something where we're getting solicited often, every day, multiple times a day, through text, through phone calls. So if that happens to you as a profession and then you are impacted financially, those are situations where you're going to want to make sure that their insureds or clients do have awareness and options to cyber insurance to make sure they protect themselves from those risks that are coming through every single day knocking on our doors. Specifically, it covers data and network exposures, provides peace of mind. So anyone who's on a computer, has financial sensitive information, has a web presence, any of those people are ones who should really be considering cyber insurance if you're collecting any payments of any kind or medical sensitive information. This does have a lower limit. It's had up to a $1 million aggregate limit for cyber. It's available in 480 classes, and it does have a 14-day cancellation guarantee. You'll see, once again, very, very broad footprint again. Washington and Alaska, those are the two states that we do not have cyber available in for those two states. I alluded to this just now as well. Who needs cyber insurance? Anyone who's collecting credit card information, has digital payments, mobile devices or computers, if you use those, if you hold financial data and confidential information. Pretty much nowadays, anybody who's operating a business, this is a coverage that they should be aware of. For the price that it costs versus the peace of mind that it provides, it's very, very strong policy we recommend people strongly consider. So this next page, this is more here just to kind of shock or wow you as far as how broad of a footprint that we do have. I mentioned that I'll pull up the appetite guide to show you exactly where you can find all of this. Of course, this is not an all-inclusive list. There are hundreds of professions outside of these that we offer as well at the same time. And the last thing to be aware before I jump out of the slides and get into the notes is how to get in touch with us. So I mentioned that we have our broad hours. We have the 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern on weekdays, and then the 10 to 5 p.m. on weekends. You'll see this number on most of the pages that we walking through once we get out of these slides, which is what you can use to reach and call our service center in any of those hours. We do have Spanish-speaking advisors available as well. And you'll also see on most of the page, you'll see this chat feature as well too. If you click on this button, it will get you in touch with the live human that works inside of our service center at the same time. So it's not a bot that you'll be speaking to, it's a licensed agent. So depending on what your needs are, if you're someone that prefers not going through the phone, or you just want a quick response while you're trying to multitask and work on something else, chat's a great feature. It's getting utilized a decent amount, but we always have bandwidth to leverage that more at the same time. We'll walk through all of these after we get out of this. This is just going to show the resource center, which is what I'll pull up right after this. And I'll pull up also how to manage the policy. If you want to go through without calling in or using that chat feature, we have another portal where you're able to submit common requests. Some of the requests you can do online by yourself. Some of the requests you'll need to call in to have those completed. And the main distinction, everything that you see here on the left-hand side, these are examples of things that can be completed through the portal. Things on the right-hand side, these are things that we need to call into our service center. You'll notice the theme here is the things here on the right-hand column. These are a little bit more sensitive information. We're talking about billing address, financial information, changing policy limits, things like that. We want to make sure at least that we're not creating a negative customer experience, transcribing things incorrectly, anything along those lines. So we ask that for those things, you actually work with the live representative. general things like this, we can have those done via email or through the portal. So that being said, I will close out of the slides, and then this page hopefully looks familiar. So starting here, there's a few things to be aware of. You can just go to, if you just go to hiscox.com, hiscox.com/INVO. It'll pull you right here to this page. But of course, you can go through the portal like Avery mentioned at the top, and then it'll drop you onto this page here. If you do not have an account with us yet, you just click this create a Hiscox account. It's going to ask you for a few details. First name, last name. First name, last name, agency phone number, email address. Once you put that information in, click create account. You're going to get an email to authenticate and then create your password. Once you have that password, you can then go here, and then it's going to allow you to log in all the same. So before I go through that, I mentioned a few times we have a few resources that you can leverage as well. First thing to point out, this YouTube video right here, this is basically going to take what we're going through now and to sync it into a quick 4-minute video. So if you want a just quick refresher as to how to use our quote and bind system, which we're going to jump into right after this, where you can find this appetite guide or how to create your account, things along those lines. This is a very concise video that has all that information archived out for you really quickly. Before we jump into do the demo, the last thing to point out is this resource center and this manage policy banner at the top. Under the resource center, I've alluded a few times, we have this appetite guide. If you click this, it's going to drive you to our appetite guide, and I'll show you a few different ways to navigate it. First thing is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see products and then the 4 lines of business that we just discussed. If you open these one by one, business owner policy, you'll see a lot of those highlights that I just referenced through the slides, the limits that we have, guidelines that are available, and thresholds. If you keep scrolling, you'll see the map that we had on each slide. It'll tell you all of the minimums or thresholds or eligibility, and you have that for each line of business to reference at the same time. Cyber. If you are curious if we do write a certain profession or industry, the top half of this appetite guide will give you all of that information. So let's say you were looking for small contractors, and then I'll show you all the small contractors professions that we have. You'll see here that we do write BOP, PL, GL, cyber. If you were then to go down more specifically and drill into an individual profession, it'll give you a quick definition of what that is, and it'll tell you what lines of business we write for that profession. So you can go through this, and this is updated in real time. So if you're curious, if we add new professions, if you ever get those bulletins that say we've made changes to thresholds, all that information will live in here in real time for you. Moving back up to the resource center or the banner at the top, this manage policy, if you do have existing policies that you're looking to service, this would be where you would do all of those. So what's funny is most of these buttons, all roads essentially lead to the same page. They're all going to drop you here to this the portal page. So depending on what it is that you need to do, you just put in your information. So Hiscox partner would be INVO Underwriting, name, email, your phone number, insured name, policy number if applicable. And then from the slides, this will show you everything that was in the left-hand column. If you need to do an AOR or BOR change, you can select this right here. If you need an accord form, you can click this button here and it'll pull that up for you to use. If you have an address change or you need to request documents or you need to submit documents to us, all of that can be done from this page here. It'll pull it up. You can attach everything you need to. there's any other content or context you need to provide, just put it in there and hit submit. These are pretty highly prioritized. Most of these will get processed within 24 hours, depending on the complexity of the claim, or not the claim, excuse me, of the request that comes through. So very, very great tool to utilize to leverage. So that's the big thing there. And then finally, the last thing to quickly walk through, and I'll go through this quickly so I can save some time for some questions as well, was just navigating the quote and bind system. So I'm going into I had our demo site pulled up. It's just partner logo, but of course you'll see on these you have the phone number for you to reference. And I did mention really quickly that on most pages, let's go back here, you'll see this chat feature. So you'll have it here. If you're in the middle of a quote, you'll see it there again as well. So once you click on this, you can then go in, ask whatever question you want, depending on what the need is. It'll route you to a live representative, and you can have your questions answered in real time. But let's quickly jump into the system. I will say this demo system does run a little bit slower than it will for you on the not in the sandbox. So a few ways to navigate here. Once again, you'll see the phone number in case you have questions. You'll see the chat feature. If you have a quote that you completed in the past and then you're trying to just reference or get back to it, you can just hit this view quote list. It'll pull up everything underneath your name. Resources, if you want to go back to that appetite guide, or if you want to make any service changes to that portal, you can access those here. If you want to start a new quote, the way that we do that is we start with a zip code. So put the zip code in here. And then a few ways to select the profession. You can, the easiest way to do it is just start typing whatever it is that you're looking for. There is also doesn't seem to want to work now. There is a dropped out there. It goes, once again, like I said, the demos that can be a little bit finicky sometimes. Usually once you just click this, it'll give you this search bar, but having so many professions, you'll see it's a lot to scroll through. Usually if you know what you're looking for, I'll just start typing in business consulting or whatever the profession is that you're looking for. Ownership structure, for the sake of this, as a consultant, I'll say sole proprietorship. And new ventures welcome. Let's say we want that coverage to start today. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And I'll give you a quick description of what that profession is to make sure that it's correct. And then it'll show you all of the lines of business that are eligible for that profession that you selected. So we'll start with general liability for the sake of this quote. And then if we have time, I'll go ahead and show you how to add another policy on the back end. Super quick to do. Because of the importance of cyber, it's always going to ask if you want to include a cyber quote. For the sake of time on this, I'm going to say no thanks, but you can always hit add cyber, and I'll show you how easy that is to do on the back. Let's go with and new business. So we'll say that this started in September 2025. No DBA, formerly known as, and because this is a new business, we do not have insurance on the policy on the profession yet. A few things to point out as well too. You'll notice this progress bar that you'll see here. We also do have a reference number already created. So if something happens, if you have to come back to this quote at a later time, let's say you get a call or pressing issue you need to take care of, on that first page, if you remember, you could go to retrieve quotes. If you click on that box, you'll see this quote here sitting waiting for you. So each time you hit next, validate, whatever it is to bring you to the next page, it's going to save there. So you can quickly pick up where you left off, but you can see the progress bar that we only have 2 more pages to complete after we finish this one. So it will go ahead and it'll compare that address against the USPS to make sure that's correct. And since I put the zip code in on the first page, it knows that's Atlanta, Georgia. let's say for the sake of this that is a correct the correct address. We'll leave it at that to validate the address. And then if there's any additional locations, we can go ahead and include those here. And it's going to go now to the eligibility questions. So does the business supply, manufacture, distribute any tangible goods or products? Say no because we're in the consulting business. Do you design, construct, install, remove any tangible goods? No, we do not. Yes, we can say we operate out of the home. That may be eligible for the work from home discount. And being a new business, we'll say that it's me as the only employee. And in the first 12 months, I'm hoping I'll be able to pay my salary of, let's call it $80,000 for payroll for the next 12 months. And let's see, there's also one employee, myself included. And being a business consultant, we're not working in aerospace. We are not doing oil and gas, or there's no land acquisition. A lot of these may be knockout questions. So if you do answer yes to any of these, depending on what it is, it's going to either ask you to provide additional information, depending on the response as a referral, or it may just be a knockout altogether if it's a risk that we're not comfortable with. For the sake of the quote, I'm going to go ahead and say none of the above and move on to the next page. And expected revenue, let's say I'm being optimistic and hoping that we're going to be collecting $150,000 in the first year for my consulting expertise. And from there, it's going to ask us to select the aggregate and limits that we want. I mentioned before, you can do up to $2 million online. We do have higher limits available. If we do select those, it will require you to talk to our service center. And then we also do have the higher occurrence limits. And now, as you mentioned before, all those additional add-ons that we had available, this is the time where you can select those if relevant. We'll say those don't apply, so we'll hit next again right now. And then it should return a rate for us to present to the customer at that point. $350 a year, $29 a month. If the customer's happy with that, let's say that they now are more comfortable increasing the limits because the price was coming in a lot lower than they expected. They have the option to do that here. You can also have the opportunity to add some of those additional coverages that we mentioned before. Really quickly, I'll show you if you did now want to add on that cyber quote because your client is happy with the price that we had available. If you click this comparison quote button, it's going to bring you back to this first page, and then you can select the other lines of business you want to add. You'll see there's also notifications here. You can't have GL and BOP. You can't have BOP and GL, and or it's one or the other. But let's say we want to go ahead and add that cyber quote for the customer because they were happy with the price of that GL. It's going to feed through a lot of the information we asked on the first portion of it. You'll see the progress bar. This is all still completed. It's saying that all we need to do now is answer some eligibility questions for the cyber and select the limits. Including myself, how many employees do we have? Just me, myself. And I am very familiar with the risks of cyber. So let's say I have done some trainings. I do plan on doing annual trainings on a go-forward basis some more. I can either click next here, or I can just go ahead and click down to this remaining unanswered field here and then select the limits. Let's say the customer, 10,000 seems high for a new business. I don't want to dig into my reserves. Let's say I want to go down to a $1,000 deductible instead. I can either click next or I can click get quote because it's recognizing that all of those pages have been completed. And that's all you need to complete the cyber quote or the BOP quote if that's what you were selecting instead as another option. So very, very fluid. You kind of see that rules-based I was mentioning where depending on how you ask certain questions, it'll kind of lead you as to what other questions are relevant that need to be discussed. So now it's saying the combined price for both of those is $744 a month or $744 a year or $64 a month. You can select those limits again. But let's say now the customer wants to go ahead and move forwards. You have the option to download a PDF, which you can share with the customer. On this page, it's going a little slow because of it's the test page. But you'll see that here, which you can present to the customer with all of the details. You can then go ahead and issue the policy. It's going to start as early as today. So go to bind policy. All the customer information fed through. Let's say you read the application, you agreed to the legal statements. Being a digital program, all of our documents are going to be sent via email to the insured, not through the snail mail. So they'll get sent to the insured. You being the agent of record, us having your file from creating your profile, a copy will get sent to you the same time. And then you can go ahead and select alternative payment options from here and make sure to confirm that these limits are what the customer was looking for. And this is the last page. The last thing to really quickly point out, we have 4 payment options: monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual. The one thing you'll notice here is there's no installment fee, there's no service fees for whether you select semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly. Inversely, there's no discount for paying in one lump sum. So regardless of what frequency you pay, the net amount you'd be paying is $744 after tax, fees, installments, all those. There are none of those. So last thing you do there is go to select the payment frequency you want. And then once you hit continue to purchase, it'll ask you to put in the card information. Once you fill this out, hit make payment. At this point, it sends the proof of insurance to the insured. It sends it to you at the same time as well. So that is from A to Z, how to go through the quote and bind, and then where you can find all of the common FAQs or resources that are typically requested or needed. So no, there's only 2 minutes left. I can stay on a little bit longer if people need to as well, but I'll open it now to questions that anyone may have. I'm not sure if anyone put anything in the chat as of yet.
I am looking, and as of right now, there is no other questions. We can give a minute to see if they come in, but if you want to put your contact information in the chat, just so if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you. Y'all are also able to reach out to me. I will put my name in the chat as well. Oh, ignore that email that I just sent. Actually, everybody, that's my personal email. I mean, you can email it if you want. Writing.com. But it's not looking like we have any questions right now, Jonathan. So if they have any, I'm sure they will use your email and reach out. But
Yep.
It looks like that's all the time we have today. So thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Jonathan, for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. But everybody has a good day.
You too. Thank you.